check this out. We're making your zoo even better. The Monsanto Education Gallery.
A re-education propaganda gallery. You can imagine the kind of information that's going to be in there. Because all this zoo's free, but it's sponsored by your generous corporate overlords here. And we're in Monsanto territory, which is now pretty much most of the globe. And they're going to teach kids from an early age that everything's perfectly safe and wonderful. And this is how you engineer a better world.
And they call it the Living Promise campaign, $120 million effort. It says, look for a large, expansive, hands-on education area with the generous support of Monsanto Company.
Well, as we know from other stories, Monsanto's been sponsoring classroom curriculum.
Outreach.
Yeah, and they've got other education centers, right?
Because that's who we want teaching our children. The chemical company behind Agent Orange and genetically modified Frankenfood.
Well, the takeaway message is they know there's been such an outcry against GMO foods that they've opened up these centers to invite in the public and reassure them that this food is safe, that basically everything they're doing could be trusted when they're not accountable and shouldn't be trusted.
Seriously? I want the Monsanto lecture.
Full of academic integrity, scientific research, fully agreed consensus scientific research.
Consensus. It's the Monsanto Education Gallery. What? Oh, it's Camp Joey. Look at this woman. What a horrible existence that must be.
Shall we go in there? Right here you see a group of kids about to be indoctrinated at the Monsanto Lecture Center about their many benefits to society and how it's just the misuse of pesticides that's contributing to the disappearance of bees and butterflies. And learn all about how GMO crops are safe, part of the future, and of course feeding the world. So we're here at the St. Louis Zoo, not far from Monsanto headquarters, and we were already confronted at this very corporatized zoo at the entrance with
corporatized.
with the Monsanto Education Center, where they give lectures, particularly to children, about, I'm sure, all the great things they're doing for the environment. Now we've been confronted by this display, which apparently is State Department funded. It's called Pause, and it's all about promoting the pollinators, the pollinating birds, and especially the insects, the bees and butterflies, right? Which we know are dying en masse. They're facing colony collapse, and their species are being threatened, and there's a lot of potential causes, but some of the biggest fingers are being pointed at the pesticides, not only the existing Roundup and other varieties, glyphosate, but the newer generations of things like neonicotinoids, which is synthetic pesticides that affect particular receptors of the brain.
But look, honey, it's protecting the pollinators and the people and the environment. And they just happen to position it right here outside of the Monsanto Insectarium.
A little public relations stunt they funded back in 2000. They've got a dedication plaque over here.
Oh,
and,
hey, you better make
propaganda
sure.
Things like
leave the flowers for the bees and the butterflies. Hey, I know Monsanto. Why don't you take your own advice? How about that? It says Monsanto Insectarium, dedicated to the diversity and beauty of the world's most abundant species. You know, the ones that won't be so abundant in the coming years, thanks to pesticides created by, that's right, Monsanto, and their GMO products.
To be honest, that's what corporatism and imperialism does. It celebrates the things it destroys quite often. And here we're going to see them celebrating the life of insects in this big public relations stunt they put up. And as we know, Monsanto's bought out bee research centers, and to produce white papers celebrating a risk, but
let's go in.
Generally pointing at red herrings instead of themselves.
It's just all. But hey, just remember, bees may need to fear people, and they're disappearing due to loss of habitat, misuse of insecticides and herbicides, disease and pollution. Not the insecticides and herbicides, the misuse of them. They're celebrating the monarch butterfly this month. And it's all about how there used to be all these monarchs. But why are they disappearing? The milkweed monarchs lay their eggs on is disappearing because of changing agricultural practices and development. Isn't that a nice way to say it? Look at that. In 2003 there were 27.48 acres. 2001, 1.65 acres. Rapidly declining, not just declining. They didn't even say like why the monarchs are actually disappearing. They just say that the milkweed they lay their eggs on is disappearing. And not because of, pesticides or GMO or any kind of thing like that. It's because of changing agricultural practices, development. There you go. I knew it was in here. Of course. They feed the world. We should be thankful for them. This is why Monsanto has been connected to the DARPA project that's going through MIT to create robotic bees. Right? But hey, they feed the world. I guess it doesn't matter if they're natural or robots.
Wow. Well, it's just propaganda city here.
Such an insult. Right in your face.
But of course it's subtle. It's not making the arguments about why Monsanto's good. It's just so the general public remembers they paid for this and allowed you to see it.